Yeehaw!
Would you want to be stuck on a raft all day talking politics with strangers who disagree with you?
Don't you see this as like potentially the breakdown of democracy?
These people volunteered to do just that. Can they bridge the political divide? I'm Kaylee Chella, and this is Utah Insight. The water on the Colorado River is flowing, and so are the political conversations in this social experiment called RAFT, or Raft for America.
You know, Raft for America isn't so much about rafting as it is about talking to each other.
The movement's name is an acronym, Reuniting America by Fostering Trust. Studies show that perception of the divide is actually worse than the political divide itself. That's something Raft for America is hoping to capitalize on.
We asked them to spend a day together on the river, working as a team.
Oh my gosh, is that a heron? Just right there.
But what we're discovering is that after just a few hours of enjoying each other's company and working together, they find a kinship and a sense of humanity with each other that overrides the differences that they have.
Dr. Samantha Moorburg is a political psychologist who researches polarization. She recognizes that it can feel demoralizing or even dangerous to engage with those who disagree with us.
And that fear can really inhibit us from engaging and talking to the other side. But not having those conversations and not engaging with them can be really harmful, especially for the successful functioning of society.
So, could something as simple as talking be the solution for America's polarization problem? And could that solution get an assist from whitewater rafting? Back in October, 14 volunteers ventured down to Moab to find out.
Raise your hand if you consider yourself conservative. Raise your hand if you consider yourself liberal.
My name is Laura Levitt. I lean left politically.
My name is Sylvia Newman. I've typically voted Republican throughout most of my life, but since 2016, that's completely shifted for me, and I'm voting very differently than I have before and thinking very differently.
My name is Luis Ruiz. I wanted RFK to win. He was kind of my candidate, and he's now supporting Trump.
Most dangerous part of the trip, getting on and off the boats.
Once on board, conversations started slow as participants got to know each other.
Are we supposed to be having like spicy conversation?
You gotta get the rolling down first. Then we disagree.
But by the time we stopped for lunch, the political conversation was in full swing.
Would he hand over the presidency when his term is up, if he wins this time?
Based off of what happened last time.
Because I also think that fear is being fed to us.
And conversation continued.
We don't have clean running water, and we don't have...
Well, technically, if you look at it, it's already poisoned anyways.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Once back on dry land, everyone circled up for a debrief.
It was just a real pleasure to talk to everyone that I got to talk to. But it just made me think how many times there are people that we don't engage with because we think what we've been told about them. So I'm hoping it's made me a little braver to maybe approach people as individuals.
And experts agree.
Having these conversations can be a really powerful tool to overcoming those barriers, to learning exactly what the other side thinks.
And science backs that idea up. Moorburg was part of a recent study that tested different solutions for reducing political polarization, among other things. The most effective treatment highlighted relatable, sympathetic people with different political beliefs. It helped reduce political polarization by more than 10 percentage points.
Having these conversations can really drive home that we might not be as different as we think we are.
While no one on the raft trip felt they were walking away with a new best friend, they still felt good about the experiment overall.
What if the way that news and politics is presented to us is just always in the most divisive of tones? And that if, like, we as a people were able to discuss these things together in person and not feel like we're being rude or like talking about taboo subjects, like what if it changed everything politically?
That's exactly my belief too. I think we're being put into echo chambers online, and we're being told that the world's gonna end and the other political parties are the devil, and it's not like that.
Moorburg says media definitely plays a part in our perception of the other side.
Well, we might turn to the media, or we might turn to social media to understand what the other side thinks and feels. And what's portrayed on these platforms is oftentimes the most extreme voices.
Victims of rape and violent crime by Harris, Biden, illegals.
So remembering that the person that we're seeing does not reflect the entire group of people can be really helpful with engaging in conversations or entering in conversations.
What are you taking away from today?
That we need to talk to people more and really fight the impulse to label.
Moorburg says this is an important part of having conversations, realizing that people are nuanced, and if someone voted against your views, it doesn't necessarily mean they voted against you. And Levitt agrees.
They're not casting a vote and they're like, ha, I'm gonna take away your mom's rights. They are voting for it for some other reason. And I'm not trying to say that there are not issues that are deeply important to me, because there are, but it is useful, I think, to figure out why the other person is voting the way they're voting instead of just casting those kinds of vicious labels.
Of course, not everyone feels that way. And Moorburg says she recognizes that cutting people off can be a protective mechanism. Still, she says, no one is a lost cause, and that if you're able to, continuing conversation, even with people who have extreme views, can eventually help.
In the moment, it might feel great to block somebody or to cut somebody out of our lives, but in the long run, that can be really harmful. Every day, we're interacting with people who don't necessarily politically align with us, and we need to learn how to work together in order to be successful at work, in order to live peacefully next door to our neighbors. If you're entering a conversation to persuade somebody that their position is wrong, then you could be talking to your blue in the face and it might never get anywhere. If you're having a conversation to learn and to listen, that approach takes people's guard down and can actually have the other side listen a little bit more too, where the goal isn't necessarily to change somebody's opinion, but the goal can be to find some sort of common ground.
And she adds, if you've been having these conversations, don't give up.
Attitudes do change, they do change slowly. And even in times where we feel like we're going backwards as a society, even in times where we feel like the world is on fire, we can still move forward and we can still come together as a people to create, honestly, a more peaceful place.